All right, so today we're going to talk about the effects of caffeine on sports performance. So to begin, just a quick overview of some of the benefits and disadvantages or side effects. The benefits include improved concentration, reduced fatigue, enhanced alertness. And then some of the disadvantages include insomnia, dehydration, increased heart rate, and then gastrointestinal problems with chronic use or high dose use of caffeine. So who is it that can benefit from caffeine use? And basically, almost everyone can benefit from caffeine use through some various mechanisms. Aerobic and endurance athletes can benefit from increased time trial performance in events or increased time to exhaustion, so prolonging the ability they're able to compete. Anaerobic athletes benefit from enhanced muscular endurance, enhanced peak muscle force, or overall muscle strength, is what that is kind of alluding to. And then mixed sport athletes are kind of a combination of all those things, and this is what our sport, basketball, kind of falls into a mix of aerobic and anaerobic athletes. So almost all athletes can benefit from caffeine use. So there are NCAA regulations on caffeine, and technically it is considered a banned substance. But what does this actually mean? This means that during a drug test, your urinary caffeine concentration cannot be greater than 15 micrograms per milliliter, and that would constitute a positive drug test. A positive drug test in relation to caffeine would result in a 1-year suspension from competition. However, in order to reach this limit, the NCAA did a study and found that an athlete would need to ingest 500 milligrams of caffeine 2 to 3 hours before competition. So this is a relatively high amount of caffeine. If you're familiar with caffeine, some of the higher end energy drinks have 200 to 300 milligrams. Your standard cup of coffee has anywhere from 80 to 150 milligrams of caffeine. So this is quite a large threshold you would need to meet in order to trigger a positive drug test here. So with all this said, what are some recommendations for athletes regarding caffeine supplementation? It can be beneficial for athletic performance, but athletes must be aware of, one, the side effects, as well as the regulations from the NCAA. So what should you do in relation to your caffeine intake? You should stick to 3 to 6 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight at about 60 minutes before your training for the maximum benefit. Increasing anything past this, the research shows that you will not get any increase in performance. So this is kind of the sweet spot. So for me, for example, I weigh roughly 85 kilograms, so I should shoot anywhere from 250 milligrams of caffeine, kind of on the low end, 60 minutes before training for maximum benefit. You should always, under all circumstances, NCAA athletes avoid high doses of 500 milligrams or greater to comply with NCAA regulations. So if you're under a random drug test, you don't want to have a day where you consume that kind of upper threshold that is putting you at risk for triggering a positive drug test. In terms of the side effects as well, you should always avoid using caffeine later in the day so it does not affect your sleep. As an athlete, sleep is your primary mode of recovery and extremely important. So if you're using this late at night, if you're using high doses, this is going to affect your number one recovery, which is sleep. And then lastly, you should avoid chronic caffeine use for continued benefit. So your body will build up a kind of tolerance if you are using high doses of caffeine every day. This is when you can develop things such as insomnia, the gastrointestinal problems. So it should be something used sparingly in your training. Again, kind of following these guidelines of before, avoid high doses and avoid doing that every day for, one, the performance benefit, and two, to be safe in regards to NCAA regulations. Thank you.